Hi guys, in this series of Advanced Python, we're going to create a scheduling task using Pandas and Alpha Vantage, and with the use of Windows Task Scheduler to run our Python program at a given time. So now, without any further ado, let's get started. To start with, we're going to use this Stack API, which is the Alpha Vantage. From this side, www.alphavantage.co. So what it does is this API will help us in retrieving a stack code or stack information. So to do that, if you are a first time to this website, the first thing you need to do is you need to get the API from here. So while waiting, the very information that we need from this website is the API key. Later, when we create our scheduling code, we'll be using a stack code reading using this API. So while waiting for this website, we're going to create a new file for this one. So to do that, we need to create a new folder. Then I'm going to call this stack scheduler. For my IDE, I'll be using VS Code. Now, if you have other IDE, it is okay. You can use also PyCharm, Spider, anything at your preference. Okay. Now that we have set up our IDE, the first thing we need to do is we need to create an virtual environment. To do that, you need to open here the new terminal. And from this terminal, you need to type Python -m venv for the environment, virtual environment, and the name of the virtual environment. For my virtual environment, I'm going to name that as .venv. Enter. Now, for those who are first time in using virtual environment really helps to package all your packaging. The main reason of using virtual environment is if you install something or install a package and you don't want to mix that with your existing system, virtual environment really helps to encapsulate those packages. So this is most common or usually used in Python programming. Whether you are using PyCharm or Spider, virtual environment is the main environment of these things. Okay, so now we're done. The next thing we need to do is to activate our virtual environment. Using VS Code, to do that, you need to click this folder, then click the scripts. Then from this activate here, right click, then copy relative path. Then from this section here, you need to paste that, then hit enter. Okay, good. Once you see your virtual environment folder here, it means that you are now using virtual environment folder. Okay, so that's it. Let's check our API. Okay. So once you are in this section here, you need to fill out this information. Then later on, we'll be going to use the API generated by this system. So what it does again is to, if I open the first page here, the main function of this Alpha Vantage is to run our stocks using its free API. So it can export as JSON, Excel, and Google Sheets. So this is one of the things that usually use for getting or downloading these what you call stocks. Now, if you are a beginner of stocks, you can check a lot of documents or ask your common friends of what is stocks. So most of the time, using Python, we can also do that using our very own code to know what are the current stocks available or as of this moment. So for those who has experience, this is a good advantage. So if you want to use this API, you can free to do so. So but for now, our main objective is to run this stock API in a scheduling task. So let's start. Okay. For a new file, we need to create or name that as stock file or stocks or simply as stocks.py. Okay. For our requirements, I'm going to write a simple script using Pandas and Alpha Vantage. So just to demonstrate how to run this code in Task Scheduler. So let's begin. So first we need to do is we need to import Pandas as PD. Then we're going to call our Alpha Vantage dot time series import time series. Then at this point, since we don't have this package yet, we need to install that. First, we need to install our Pandas. To do that, we need to type pip install Pandas. During installation, with the use of virtual environment, this package here, we're going to store in this folder. So this will be the responsible of your main source for this program to run. So everything that you're going to complete for this system, this will instead of installing outside our Python IDE, this will encapsulate these packages. So that's the good with virtual environment. So depending on your internet, make sure that you have a stable internet. So as of now, seems it takes a while to download the package. So let's review our Alpha Vantage. Okay, so these are the things that, okay, if you are on this site, if you check the documentation, for those who are expert in Forex, but also with the knowledge of Python, this is really a good API for those things. Actually, there are a lot of things aside from this one. It depends on what regions or country. Like in China, they have their own very specific API to run its very own stacks. So it depends on the country and which particular area it's focusing. Okay, still waiting. Okay, so let's see. Required functions. Okay, so there are a lot of things that we can do from here. For those who have no knowledge about stacks, basically this is a monitoring. You can monitor the stacks within daily range, weekly, sometimes per time, whether per minute, per hour. That's the usually does when it comes to stack. Okay. Oh, okay. So I think it's that. So after install our pandas, the next thing we need to install now is our alpha Vantage. To do that, we need to clear this one again. Then type pip alpha Vantage. Oops, should be, sorry about that, it should be pip install alpha Vantage. Okay, that should be it. Good. Now that we have finished our installation, I'm going to clear this one here. Let's continue with our coding. Now the next thing we need to do is, once you finish install, set up or registered your information in Alpha Vantage, it will create an API key. So for this example, I already have created my API key. So for this one, I'm going to paste my API key here. Okay. So this is my API key created in Vantage, Alpha Vantage. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to set a time series. So to do that, I'm going to call ps and time series. That's our Alpha Vantage properties here. Then we need to call the key. So that's our API key. Then we're going to output this format using pandas. See? So from here, the first thing it does is we need to download the information with the help of API key. Then at the same time, it will output as pandas. Okay. Next. Now the next thing we need is we need to set up our data and the metadata. So what it does is this will store the information. So again, with the TS or the time series, we need to get the intraday. Now, in here, we're going to use the symbol of, let's say, I'll be using the Microsoft stack. So for that, the symbol for the Microsoft stack here is the MSFT. So that's the Microsoft. Then I'm going to set up the interval. Let's say I'm going to pick up the information for the last 1 minute. Then going to output size. Okay, output size. Okay, I'm going to get the full information of Microsoft stocks. So let's try first. I'm going to print the data. So we need to ensure that this is working. So the first thing is, first we need to print our data. Now that seems our first part of our code is already set. We'll try to run this program code. So to do that, we need to type py or Python and the name of the file, which is the stock.py. Okay, so it says that time series has no attribute get intraday. So it should be get int intraday. Okay, so that's the correct spelling. Let's save that. Okay, let's clear this up and let's try. And there you go. So seems our code is working. Let's open this up. Okay, so that's it. This is as of this day, or as of this current recording. Today is June 18, 2021, and these are the time. These are the open, high, low, close, and volume. So yeah, so I guess our code is working. Now let's continue with the next part. Now, we won't end on this part, but instead, we're going to store that information. To do that, we're going to create a data frame. So that will be the pandas part. To do that, we need to type df for our data frame and our pandas pd.dataframe. Sorry, should be big data frame. Data frame going to store the data information. And from here, I'm going to type the time str. It's our variables. Then I'm going to get the time st. Okay, let's make it a little simpler. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to write this down or save that in our Excel file. So to do that, we need to call our data frame. Then we need to assign this property, the Excel, or this function, Excel, and the location. So for our first saving file, I'm going to create a folder here, name file storage. Okay, what it does is after converting to Excel, I'm going to save that information in this folder location. So to do that, I need to type / in the name of the folder, file storage, and the name of the file, let's say file name .xlsx. So that's our Excel file name. So the next thing we need to do is to call our sheet name. So this is the name of the course, the work. I think that's the name of the file of the Excel. So that's a sheet name, and going to name that as results. Okay, that's save. Let's check everything. From here, we need to create our data frame. Then from data frame, we need to save that using this function here to Excel with this location. So let's try. So going to clear this information here and run again our stack. Enter. Okay, so it seems that since we're using Excel, we need to install OpenPY Excel. I'm going to copy that and going to clear this here. Okay. Okay, so usually this is most common issues when you install if you're using Pandas for DataFrame. It's still used for this package. To do that, we need to install pip install OpenPY XL. Start. Okay, before we continue with this one, just to let you know that this is only a demonstration, because later, after we finish this coding, we're going to set up this in our task scheduler so that my target is I'm going to run this stack file on a given time. Okay, so I guess we're already done here. Let's clear this again and run our program. Enter. Okay, good. Now that we already complete, so let's check our file. There you go. If I click this one here, okay, so yeah, so since I don't have an Excel viewer for this part here, I don't have installed the Excel application. Better going to install this extension. So to do that, going to type Excel and going to use this extension, Excel viewer, and install. Okay, this is one of the coolest thing in VS Code. Simply because you can install the things that already most using tools in programming. So let's go back here. Now let's click this one again. Okay, so how to view that to view our Excel files? To do that, I need to right click and open preview. Okay, there you go. So let's move this one here. Okay, good. So this time our package or our stack program is working. Now there's one thing twist that I want to do with this one. Okay, let's go back to our file. Okay, since our target is to set up a scheduling for this program to run, actually there's so many ways how to do this. The other ways is you can use Airflow or make a scheduling task. If you're going to make your common scheduling, the one thing issues in there is that you still need a third party so that your Python will keep running on a background for that. But here, since I'm going to run that, and each time, let's say midnight, I'm going to run this code every midnight. Instead of saving that on this file, basically it will overwrite. So if this is my original file name, it will keep overwrite. So the changes are, it will store on one same same file to be exactly. Now let's avoiding that. To do that, we're going to use the most common method, which is saving a file name with a series of time of of course, the name of the file name and the time of your saving. So that's our main goal. So that whenever I set up the schedule, this should not be overwrite this information here. So I want to keep the old information. So to do that, we need to serialize the time within the file name. Okay, so how to do that? To do that, we need to import time. The question is why time? Time is unique. The time as now is not the same as the time for tomorrow, because the time for tomorrow is a different day. Okay, so in here, I'm going to use this time function. So to do that, the first thing I need to do is, let's say on this part, I need to call first the file name. For the file name, I'm going to retain the file name as our default file. Then next to that, I'm going to set up the time string for the extension of our file name. So let's say I'm going to call the time, and this is the function strftime. Then for the format, I'm going to specify %year or Y, %m for the month, and %d for the day. Dash, I'm going to include the %h for the hour, %m for the minute, and %s for the seconds. Okay, so I guess that makes sense. So this is now our timestamp. Now let's apply that in our file name. So to do that, I'm going to clear this part here. Okay, and then I'm going to add first the file name. And I'm going to add the file at the time str. Okay, and the last one, I'm going to include the extension. So that's .xlsx save. Okay, so I guess let's check. Okay, so I guess that should work. But let's try. So I'm going to clear this one here. Then I'm going to run pystacks.py. And there you go. So notice here, we successfully create a file with a timestamp of the year and the time here, this section here. So yeah, so now that we have completed our simple code of getting the stocks. So like I said, the purpose of this simple code here is to read the stocks of Microsoft. So this is the symbol for Microsoft. I want to know its stocks, let's say going to schedule this every midnight. So to do that, we need to use the built-in Windows application, and that application is what you call Task Scheduler. For those who are first time in using Time Scheduler is a built-in application that you can run at a certain time or a given time for whatever activities that you have in your, or should I say, for whatever application that you want to run on a given time. So this is the function of Task Scheduler. But since we're going to run our Python, the best way to run that in Task Scheduler is to create a batch file. So question is, what is a batch file? Actually, batch file is a script file. This is commonly used in Microsoft Windows since the earliest days. It consists of a series of commands to be executed by the command line interpreter stored in a plain text file. So basically, instead of running this code manually, we can compile that in what you call batch file. So to do that, we need to create a batch file for that. Okay. Question: why do we need batch file if we can run directly for this one? Okay, these are the problems if you run with direct scheduling. The first thing is our requirements. The requirements of our system to run on a scheduled task is to have, of course, the first one is the virtual environment. Take note, this program won't work if this was set up previously on your virtual environment. So that's the trickiest part. So make sure if you run a scheduler, the first execution should be run these Python files in a virtual environment. And after the virtual environment, that's the time you can run your tasks. Make sense? Okay, so now that we understand the basic information, now question is how we're going to create our batch file. So just follow along. I'm going to create a simple script of our batch file. So to do that, we need to create a new file. And let's say I'm going to call this Python scheduler dot bat. Okay, the bat here is the batch script. Okay, the batch script. Okay, so now from here to write it down, we need to start with the @echo-op to freeze our command. Then with the use of echo, I'm going to print the information. So let's say for this one, I'm going to say backup start. Okay, so that's the first information. Now here's the trickiest part. The trickiest part is we need to first execute our virtual environment. So take note, this will be run directly. So make sure that this will call first the virtual environment. To do that, you need to call using this call function. Okay. Now, one of the requirements also as well is we need to get the full path of our virtual environment. To do that, if this is your virtual environment, you need to right click and then copy path. It should be a full path for that. So better, I'm going to extend until here. This one here. So I'm going to right click, then copy path. So let's paste it here. Okay, good. Okay. This is one of the requirements in creating our virtual environment. So in this section here, this will activate the virtual environment. Now next to that, of course, is the execution of the Python code. To do that, you need to type py or Python and the full path of your running program. So in here, I'm going to go back from here. So since this is my program in Python, I need to copy the full path of this file. And copy path. I'm going to paste here. Okay, so good. So now that we have completed running, okay, because this section here will execute the running program. So once done, I'm going to print an echo. So this is backup complete. Okay, then I'm going to exit. Cool. So that's it, guys. This is the small script needed in running a scheduler path or a scheduler batch file in Windows. So let's try. So to do that, instead of running here, we need to run this outside our folder. So I'm going to open this with Reveal in File Explorer. Okay, so this is the actual icon or the file name of our batch file. So let's say for this to work, we need to double click to see if this is working. So I'm going to click, double click. Oops. Okay, so let's check our file. Okay. Seems there's. Let's check again. And echo upstart, activate, stop file. All right, let's try again just to make sure that this is really working. I'm going to click that again. Okay, so let's check that file. Okay, so we have 3 files here and this one. Okay, let's try one more. Double click. Okay, good. Now that you see, okay, seems it is working because I notice it's already auto create the file here. Now, just to be sure, we need to delete this file here so that you guys can see if it is really working. Because there's a lot of series here. I want to delete all this file. Okay, then I'm going to double click again our batch file. Okay, just to make sure that this one is running, we need to make sure that everything's clear here. There you go. So now, as you can see, it's really working. So as long as this is working, the next thing is we need to do is we can now set the schedule for this one. So to do that, we need to go back to our task scheduler. And then from here, we need to write or right click, then create basic tasks. This is the exciting part because if you're confident with your code, you can now start creating your scheduling. Okay, so now on our basic tasks, we need to name this as start scheduler. Next. Okay, from here, let's say I'm going to pick this on a daily basis. So that should be okay. So from here, let's say just for this demo, I'm going to run this after, let's say 2 minutes. So let's say going to run this 5:59. Hopefully there's still time. Yeah, so okay, so I'm going to run this after 2 minutes because our time is 4:59, 4:57. So I'm going to run this at 4:59, I suppose. Let's check the timing for this one. Okay, so 4:59 should be. So let's try with this time. So let's select this start a program. Okay, from this part here, we need to browse our script. So for my code, it was located on desktop. And from here, this is the name of the folder, PyScheduler. And we're going to pick our batch file, which is the scheduling. Okay, good. So this is good. And click next. Then from here, you need to pick this one section here, or you can finish and then continue. So, but for me, okay, I'll just click the finish first so that you can see what's the difference. I click finish. Okay. Should be, where's that? Okay, there you go. So this is our file name in task scheduler. So going back, why is it I need to, oh, it auto activates now. Okay, good. So I think it's working because I set the schedule to 4:59. Now as you can see, it automatically execute. So cool. Okay, cool. So this is working. You notice that I set the time to 4:59, then all of a sudden it automatically execute. So that's it, guys. So let's go back here. Okay. A while ago, there's something I need to add from this one because there are some issues that if this one work on Windows, usually in Windows Server, the next thing you need to do is right-click, click Properties. You need to ensure that these run in the highest privileges. So you need to click that and then OK. It means that it will bypass the highest privilege. So it will run directly on the scheduling type, the scheduling time. So that's it, guys. Let's go back to our code. Let's see here. Okay, now that we have demonstrated on how to create a simple file that running on a batch file, you can use any code that you want to run. Let's say if you want to run a scheduler or timer, this batch file will really helps if you want to run Python on a given time. So that's it. If you find this video informative, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. See you guys on the next video series. Cheers!